From Puppet Souls draft. I want to get your take on that. They were running a lot of Tricor-esque stuff, I think, yesterday, which we were casting, and I think ultimately that didn't work out
Well,
for them. I forget which team they played that against. If it was maybe Team Tim, um, but yeah, I think you got to take over and
yeah, let me cut you off right there because I am
yeah.
anxious and antsy to talk about this draft. But first, I have to tell you and our viewership about the sponsors of the proceeds of this Paradise League: Community Gaming and Polydoge. Guys, Community Gaming is a platform for running weekly tournaments for all kinds of games like Valorant, Super Smash Bros., Hearthstone, and more. And they're all in one, and they help supercharge events of all levels, from your community ran tournaments all the way to the tier 1 stuff that you see at the highest level of the professional events. You can go to the communitygaming.io website to experience it for yourself, or join their Discord to learn more. Check out Polydoge as well. They're a digital currency with one of the most vibrant communities on the powerful Polygon network. It offers a wide variety of fun interactions to its holders in the form of NFTs, apps, airdrops, and access to different DeFi platforms ready to use on Polygon. Experience it for yourself at polydoge.com. And keep in mind that this $10,000 prize pool can be further extended if the league sponsors get more activity from their sponsor leagues, such as account creations, and link clicks. It takes less than a minute to do either of these things, so make sure you check out the links, check out the URLs, type !ad in the chat, or scroll down into the panels in the description for the sponsor links, and let's get back to the game, Wig.
Thank you for the shout out to the sponsors there. So before we were talking about that, we discussed the Tricor here from the Hellborn side. We see Donova running a Tricor of Sapphire, Valkyrie, and Drunken Master. I wanted to get your take on the Tricor.
I mean, Tricor, we've got Tremble and Chronos just running a dual core. And I was kind of going to get your take on Tremble, being the premier mid laner that's in the hands of Fa. He's very successful with this hero, and they actually forced him to call assistance from Moira because they ran a dual lane against him out of the gate with Sapphire Empath. And but just interesting how Tremble doesn't seem to synergize very well with Chronos.
Yeah,
Sure
it is interesting that they pick. I would say a lot of like melee damage. They have the rally and then the tremble. The only hero that really synergizes well with the Chronos is the engineer. So more so than not, they're just kind of relying on this Chronos, which they give to Azov here. It almost looked like they were gonna run a hard carry Chronos. They decided to run it more in like a position 3 kind of role. So he's more gonna be like a lockdown initiator this game than a carry. He'll transition into one kind of later on, but they're still going to be relying on Engineer and Tremble to do a good majority of the work. So they are running that aggressive farming Engineer with the rally up in the top lane.
Yep, and we've seen them do that before. Snooki, a very strong Engineer player. Actually, 2 strong Engineer players on either team between Snooki and Puppet Soul. So really actually surprised to see that hero make it through the first wave of bans with that reality. But Tremble,
nice wall comes out from Empath. Does some good damage. Brings Tremble to about half life, though. He's not feeling too threatened at the moment. But yeah, this is an interesting 2v2 lane. Tremble and Moira. Well, actually, he rotates Moira down to the bot lane. Looks like they really just want to let Tremble get that solo experience. So they were not feeling like they could 2v2 into the Sapphire Empath lane.
And Tremble actually takes a reckless charge into a shard from Sapphire, ports back to base.
Unfortunate the wall missed there. They could have gotten some very heavy shard damage. I don't know if it would have been enough damage for a kill, but Tremble ports back to the base, and he'll be porting back to the mid lane any second now. It's the beauty of this hero being very mobile.
Yeah, it actually seems like it's a pretty decent hero. I mean, it's one hell of a 1v1er, but it seems like it doesn't do too bad in that 2v1 setup either.
Well, I will say the nice thing about Tremble going up against 2 ranged heroes is that anytime he pops the Dark Swarm, he'll be mitigating damage dealt to him because they will be hitting him from far away. So when he's up against melee heroes, the Dark Swarm isn't as effective, but He's gonna pop. See, he goes ahead. He pops the Dark Swarm there, and he's taking minimal damage. So it's just a very nice damage mitigation tool as well.
Yeah, it's a huge amount. You just level 2 of that ability, 30% less damage. That's a lot of damage reduction. You're absolutely right. And he's just able to keep porting between the mound and the base, and then porting back out. So
Bottom
it just
lane.
seems like they're not able to.
There's a Harkon stuns up Drunken. This is more harass than anything. Drunken just a little bit too slippery there with the Marchers.
And we mentioned the Tricore setup seems a bit greedy, but they're definitely having a better laning phase than Nova Brigada here. Excuse me, this is a Doghouse.
Yep, a lot of pressure on Tremble so far this game. So Foz probably, not to say that he's unhappy, but definitely a tougher start for him. He'll have to bounce back from this moving forward. Got 22 last, it's on the Sapphire. 10 on the Tremble, understandable there.
24 on Kronos, 23 on Engie. Kronos and Engie having really great starts. Valkyrie struggling just a little bit behind Engineer.
So, Kronos being ran in this more of like position, we'll call him position 2 or 3. I'm gonna be interested. What do you think like an item build would be for him this game? Does he still kind of build like a traditional Kronos, go for the carry route, or does he go for more of like the walking ultimate? Maybe go for something like a early build up item into like a staff Resto Stone kind of build. Bottom lane, there's the Bloodlust kill. I was watching that as they were kind of slowly beating down the Drunken Master, and they chased him down there with the leap. So the dude gets the Bloodlust kill.
I would like to see him, you know, okay, watch out, Trimble in the middle lane taking a lot of heat as well, but I think I would like to see him shy away from the ulti reliance. As we kind of mentioned, it doesn't synergize fantastically with the rest of his team's kit. So I think he wants to be, you know, kind of more of a, you know, if he is going to be going for ultis, he's going to be doing them for himself. So I think he needs to build in some really strong auto attacking items. I would like to see a Nullifier on him personally. I think that, you know, burning down a mana pool inside
arrow
of
hits onto Rally. He has no compel. This is going to be a dead Rally. We see 4 players rotate up here.
Yeah, I'd like to see him, maybe something like an Elder Nullifier. That's just me, personally. I think that it could be hugely beneficial to be able to get onto somebody inside of his ulti, burn out their mana pool, potentially drop them down completely. Nullifier,
We could see an engagement here. Kronos gets the health pot. Leaps in on the Drunken. There's the Mana Sunder. We'll see the Shards of Harkon stun him up as well. Nice. Oh, he tries to block him with the Ephemeral Forge. That would have been a really sick play if dude could have pulled that off. But there was just this tiny gap of space where he could sneak by him.
Yeah, that's really good to see. That's a usage of that ability that I'm not even familiar with, you know, as a potentiality. It makes perfect sense, but it's just, you know, these high-level players are high-level for a reason. They just think about the game and all the mechanics on a whole nother level sometimes.
Tremble's level 6 now. No, he's sitting on 25 creep kills. I saw him jungling the easy camp a little bit there. But he has his ultimate now to work with if he wants to try to set up some kills. I think that's a pretty big bonus for him moving forward. Just gonna shove out the creep wave there and be happy with that.
Not showing very much fear at all in the mid lane. You love to see it.
Engineer and Rally have been rather quiet so far this game. Now Nuki's farming very well on 36 creep kills, but so is Valkyrie. He's on 43, so doing a little bit better up there in the top lane. Are you surprised that we're only seeing 2 hero kills so far in 8 minutes, or is that just
kind of,
maybe game 1 slow start?
Yeah, feeling each other out. Now Engineer in a very dangerous spot, jukes the arrow, but Rally now behind enemy lines. Yeah,
they're not really feeling like going for him either.
I think I'm right. I'm with you about being surprised by this top lane. You know, both of these, I feel like we would have seen more kills coming out from top lane. You know, Valk Mag, very strong stun combo, and then the same thing is true about Rally Engie. So
We see Sapphire already doing triple stacks. He's got the level 4 shard there. Skips the ultimate, which I think is fine. I would do this myself if I was playing the Sapphire. Puts more points into the quick shield to get more hits in on the shard. We see him working on the triple hard camp now. This is a lot of gold for him. He's almost up to 400 GPM. While I'm talking about that, top lane Valkyrie dies. This is Tremble porting in with the assistance of Moira. And they almost bring down the Magmus as well. The Doghouse makes a statement up here in the top lane, bringing 4 players up here of their own.
Kronos going pretty hard here on the Drunken Master. Pops the ulti.
Coming out, gets a bash on the first, and needs one more. He gets another bash. Kronos does get the kill there on the Drunken Master. A great usage of his Chrono Field there from Ozov. Meanwhile, mid lane, we see the pressure coming in from Sapphire, but how about the counter pressure, forcing them to fall back? See, they might want to go back in here. They have the health potion now on Sapphire.
Ask and ye shall receive on some of those hero kills, but I really enjoyed watching Asaf go on that Drunken Master as Kronos. He was actually, I was wanting to see exactly how he was going to try and pull it off, because Drunken Master is fairly slippery and tanky at the same time, and what he ended up doing is he just time leapt onto him and just kind of auto attacked him, and I think he was just measuring, okay, how many procs from the Curse of Ages am I going to get? And he ended up getting 1, maybe 2, and then he's just like, yep, I've got enough damage after those. Pops the ulti, and then gets another one inside of the space of the ulti. So, you know, RNG coming out in his favor there.
Looks like he's going to go for the Elder, so I think I definitely like that as his first item. Just bulk up his damage by quite a lot. We do see a slight experience lead for Doghouse. Not very much early on, about 1,000 XP lead. So even with Sapphire working in the jungle stacks, Doghouse still doing very well across the board.
Yeah, one thing I like about this Elder Parasite for Kronos is it makes him really dangerous. You know, very few heroes on the Legion side are actually going to be comfortably sitting in a lane versus him. But also, you know, it's kind of a soft farming item. It's always going to give him the sustain in the jungle to just always transfer into the jungle and just beat up on creep waves or creep camps when things are slow in the game. So it kind of offers him supplements to both of things that he wants to accomplish in this game.
Sapphire doing these are 2 double stacks, I believe. Now that she's getting higher level, just melts those. Meanwhile, top lane Rally goes down. Energy field gonna prevent them from chasing further, but looks like they got an eruption. I don't know if that was an arrow following up a lava surge or if they got a sneaky, he's going for the secondary kill. Ziki says, no, no, no. I'm going to take you out, and I'm going to make it a 1-for-1 there. So it ends up with both supports dying. 1-for-1.
So Kronos, I'm paying a lot of attention to this Kronos because, you know, kind of like you said, it's a big ulti, but it doesn't synergize with the team, and so, you know, I'm just kind of paying attention. They aren't relying on this Kronos ulti for their team fight. They're just hoping that this hero shines by itself. So I think they're putting a lot of faith into Asaf on Kronos. So I really, really want to see what he's doing this game to make sure that he gets the most value out of this hero pick. As they actually bring down 3 heroes into the bottom lane.
You get the
use the Valkyrie's Prism.
And Kronos just finds himself an invisibility rune. He's like, well, fine with that. He's going to port up to the top lane. Now, they do know he's up here. They even have the Ward of... Oh, no, they do not have a Ward of Revelation. Looks like it expired. They had one earlier, which spotted out a Mind Trap that Snooki was trying to be sneaky with.
Uh-oh. He's waiting on his Elder Parasite. He has the recipe. Yep, it's delivered. He's going to be able to take out most people at this point. Has his eyes set on Drunken Master at this point. Here he goes.
Yep. Getting solo sphered a couple of times now. I think that was the second one. So, what's your thoughts on Sapphire going the Fireband? Usually we see the first item Shroud on this hero.
Just seems like he is more intent on playing in a passive game. You know, doesn't feel like he's... You know, because the Shroud is just the item that, yeah, it helps him in farm creep camps. Obviously, it's damage and attack speed, but
More
it's also
positioning than anything.
right. It's an aggressive item. Allows him to get close and start a gank attempt.
Top lane, we have the slam coming out following the compel. They bring down Valkyrie. Again, 4 players over for Doghouse. There's an energy field. Catches Magnus out. Drunken and Empath need to be careful. The numbers advantage is still here for Doghouse. We see an Arcane Vortex slowing down the Drunken Master. He gets caught by the Shards of Heartcon following up that Vortex. The Mana Sunder hits on the Empath. Meanwhile, Tremble in the background pounding in the auto attacks. And Sapphire's now here. He's going to get off the ultimate there, the Crystallize. He's going to go for the Port Out. Is he going to be successful here? Looks like he will be. There was no TP stopper there. Rally had the compel still down. But big picture, that's a great team fight from Doghouse. They recognized they had the advantage up there, and they make them pay with a tower on top of that.
Yeah, this is starting to get out of control in favor of Doghouse. We see a Cleaver being pursued by Tremble. Not sure if you caught that. So that's something that's a bit unusual. He's going to heavy farming around. Yeah,
he's already 415 gold per minute. I don't know how far finds the farm. There's an arrow connecting. This should be enough damage. They bring him down. But he was just 415 gold per minute. This was a dual lane Tremble from the get-go. How in the world did Fa find this much farm?
Just as you said, right? Just able to make rounds into the jungle, taking out the small camp whenever he's pushed out of lane by the dual lane rather. I think he's just really showing us and the audience the power of this ability Darkstorm, right? Just really, really successful on keeping him alive in the lane, and then just doubling as a strong farming tool as he just makes, these short little runs into the jungle, as well as just pushing out creep waves in general anytime he's got space. So, Fa just an expert on this Tremble, and I've seen it before and like seeing it again.
Definitely doing very well here. I am gonna say that I think with you about the Cleaver. I'm a little bit surprised we're not seeing him go more of his usual Tremble style with the Astro Elder into like shrunken Hellflower shenanigans with the portal key. Looks like he's gonna go for a different route here. Gonna be interested to see how that works out for him. They feel like they need him to maybe be a bit more farmed this game. But Engineer, he's got a Storm Spirit picked up. Snooki's been pretty quiet for the most part, but 203, boarding 350 GPM. We'll see what he can make use of with this haste. It's just going to pop in about 15 seconds. He might get the catcher on the Sapphire. There we go. There's the Storm Spirit into the keg. He misses the energy field. Doesn't have the turret to push him back in, but it's not going to matter. Empath uses the Az-1. She's going to fall out. And one more auto attack. No, he uses the power supply. There's the mine. Meanwhile, Chronosphere comes out with the eruption. From the counter of Hellborn, Magnus falls as well as Valkyrie. Drunken Master falls as well. Just like that, a 5-for-0 team fight out of nowhere.
Just perfectly executed. I mean, I don't even know what happened, but what I did see is how clean of a Chronos ulti that was. Just catching the backline of Donava Brigada, while the rest of his team was just finishing off, who was it there in the front line? Finishing off Sapphire and Magnus? Just
Sapphire, then placed. Empath, then Magnus, yep.
Yeah, just expertly placed. Just showing that this Chronos ulti has more viability than just being a setup for some wombo combos. It can just be a perfect team fight partitioning tool that just allows you to split teammates up and just take them out 1v1-on-1. And you saw him just take out Valkyrie inside of the space of that Chronos ulti as well, because he just does enough damage by himself with the Elder Parasite, now Thunderclaw on top of it. But he's got to be careful. He's kind of out in no man's land here. It gets gone on by Mag.
Here comes Drunken Master. The leap gets broken by the time leap. Arrow very close, but there's the Mind Trap coming in from Engineer. Takes out the Valkyrie. Magnus gets a 2-man Lava Surge, trying to keep the fight going for his team. This Rally doesn't have the compel. He's going to get caught, and he will be the sacrificial lamb here to get Kronos out of dodge. So they did get the Valkyrie kill, sacrificing the Rally. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Sapphire is all of a sudden in deep behind enemy line. She puts the shard down. Will she get a return kill? Very close to getting a kill on the Kronos as we see the Vortex from Dude stopping that Barrette, and they will bring him down. So the kite is real as Kronos escaping on next to nothing.
This is... So now we're starting to see the Shroud route coming out from Sapphire. Here's something that's surprising. I mean, okay, Valkyrie has a glowstone. He's clearly making his intention to go for staff imminent. Is that the right decision? Does he give that? We missed the kill. On to
Magnus
Magnus.
gets caught top lane. Yep. Meanwhile, bottom lane, we have a Blink Storm. His engineer has a portal key. Valkyrie can't get her leap off. She gets too many attacks in from the Kronos. That's a savage 6 streak now all of a sudden for Snicky. And the lead just continues to pile on.
17-4. Favor of Doghouse. 12k gold. But yeah, I'm surprised to see the Staff of the Master intent from Valkyrie.
Top lane, we have a smoke being broken here by the Sapphire, puts the shard down. They're trying to go for the Trumbull kill. Rally throws him out of that shard range. Now he's going to be in a dangerous spot. He's once again sacrifices himself. Dude is here with the illusion from Moira. And look at that. He's got a portal key.
Yep, see
the item's just coming through for Doghouse here. But Nede, once again, kind of sacrificing himself. Playing that kind of Andro effect where he says, I guess I'll be the one to die.
Meanwhile, they get that second tier tower in the bottom lane.
I think we might see maybe something like a spell shards come out from Engineer as his next item. He just picked up that portal key.
Yeah, probably. Looks like he's...
Oh, Tremble. He's going to get caught here by the Magma Surge. The shard. Not enough damage for a kill. The Dark Swarm preventing a little bit of that damage. But there's the Crystal X coming in from Sapphire with that speed boost from Empath. Magnus channels the Eruption, but what an Arcane Vortex coming in from Dude. It's going to negate the entire Eruption, and Tremble survives. Will Dude also survive on the Moira? No, he goes down. Meanwhile, we have an energy field in the background. Kronos goes in on the Sapphire, but a bit too slippery with the Empath plus the bottle sips. And now Magnus, he's going to juke with the Steam Bath. Can he survive? Rally gets in range maybe for an auto attack or two. Magnus has no mana for the Lava Surge currently. There's the power, or the mana battery. He's going to stun up the trees. It looks like Magnus might make the escape.
Very impressive showing survival skills from Magnus. But
is
the
Rally
story
gonna...
of
No, he's not going to get in range. Okay.
Story of that team fight to me was, as you called it out, that Arcane Vortex that saved the life of Tremble. I mean, what a play coming out from Dude. That was insane.
The supports from Doghouse, definitely a couple of deaths, not for not for no reason. They have saved Tremble's life, I want to say about 3 times now, where he's escaped and nearly dying. So kudos to the support players.
It seems, they've got Tremble and Kronos with some major farming items, Thunderclaw and Rundax between the two of them, and they've got this farmed engineer as well. He's got a fantastic start. So not necessarily the tri-core that they intended, but it is a tri-core that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And the tri-core on the flip side, the Hellborn side, just really struggling to get off the ground. Drunken Master forced to go into a defensive item. Valkyrie, going for that staff, but it's going to be very late. I imagine the idea of giving Valkyrie a staff is to eventually give it to Empath so that she's permanently in Sapphire.
I think so, yeah.
We've got the Shroud finished on Sapphire now.
That's a good start for their team fight. So Valkyrie, she had that great laning phase start, but since then she's died 5 times. Really slowed down her farming progression. She's sub 300 GPM. So maybe going for the staff might in the end be the better route, as kind of opting out of like a damage Valkyrie kind of build that we see sometimes. But I think there's good merits to the staff. We pointed out being able to upgrade the Empath.
It also helps for high ground defense later in the game, right? It's
being able to push out waves relatively safely.
Right, and just throwing an arrow at a creep wave that's charging towards your tier 3 tower and just calling down the call of the Valkyrie safely from 2,000 units away. It's nice.
So Kronos, he's got the Firebrand picked up. Ozov's had a great game here, 4-0 and 5. We typically see this man get put on the sacrificial heroes like Lodestone, but he's showing us here in game 1 that he can play the right clickers as well. We got Moira scouting things out here at the Legion's Ancients. Almost looks like they wanted to steal them, but they don't fully commit to a steal as we see Doghouse fall back to their own mid lane.
Yeah, and you know, the story of the game for me kind of is these supports, right? You mentioned how good they are at sacrificing themselves to ensure the safety of their core players, but at the same time, they're finding items themselves. We've got portal keys on Moira and Rally, so it just makes it really, really hard for DB to function over there on the Hellborn side because they've always got to be worried about getting caught by, you know, four of these heroes now. You know, everybody but Trimble's got some sort of jump potential.
So Sapphire, she's hanging around 500 GPM. She just picked up the Geometer's Bane. What do you think we'll see from Sapphire moving forward? Is this like, is this a game where he needs a shrunken head? Does he just go full damage and kind of YOLO build it, so to speak, like glass cannon style?
I think that shrunken head does. I mean, there's definitely a reason to get shrunken head against that team.
Maybe against Engineer, and outside of getting stunned by like Moira and Rally, I think that's probably it.
A large percentage of Kronos' damage is coming in the form of magic as well, right? Between Thunderclaw and the Curse of Ages procs, it's definitely not to be scoffed at how much magic damage this hero outputs, but at the same time, you know, once Kronos gets farmed enough, I think that Sapphire is going to have a hard time living against Kronos inside of the space of a Chrono Field anyway. Yeah. So I almost feel like he just needs to go all out.
Storm Spirits. We see one tablet already picked up by Empath, which is great news for them.
So I figure, you know what? Oh, okay, this is a completed staff on Valkyrie already, so gets it with decent timing. Didn't notice him picking up the 1,000 gold pieces.
Bottom lane, Engineer's gonna blink on the Magmus. There's the catch with the Storm Spirit into the keg. Tremble ports in. All of a sudden, he's here at the side of the map with the mound. Oh my god, he actually saw that one coming for quite a while, but still managed to get hit by it. But they get the pick off there on the Magmus, who, by the way, was very close to his portal key. Talk about items that can kind of get the ball rolling for DB, as you call them.
Yeah, I'm just tired of all those syllables.
Looking forward for that. Looking forward to the portal key pickup soon.
Looks like they might be setting up for this Kong kill.
So we saw them take out their own Kongor about a minute ago. This would drop them a token of life. Can DB defend this, though, is the question. Can they go for a steal, even? As we have great vision from the side of Doghouse here behind, like around the tier 2 tower there. You see the Ward of Revelation put down, so Sapphire definitely needs to be careful if she were to shroud uphill. For good reason. We see Tremble take the token. Got that for 250, and he just right-clicked a Shrunken Head. So he has got himself a defensive item on the way.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Geo's Bane finished on Kronos. Double damage in somebody's pocket as well. They have a bottle on the Legion side? They don't even have a bottle. This is just going to be...
I think he's got one on Engineer.
He's got one. Yes, my mistake.
I think he is the only one.
He gave it to Tremble.
DD over to Tremble. Could be a scary fight for DB to take if they don't pick the right targets here. This token double damage Tremble could definitely put in some work. And they do have the Kongor Decimator at 30 charges. So the tower does fall there in the mid lane. The tier 2 goes down. Is Doghouse comfortable with doing tier 3 tower pressure? Or do they look to clean up that last outer tower? Looks like they want to force the tier 3 here.
Yeah, with this double damage on Tremble, here comes the Eruption.
Eruption being channeled, he's going to line up. Doesn't go for the stun, actually. Tremble pops the Shrunken, so he's going to lose his token there with no Shrunken once he comes down. But there is no counter follow-up to him respawning there with that token. And it looks like they will just get a little bit of chip damage in on the tower. They burn the token straight away. So I guess my question for you, John, is was that what they were looking to accomplish with the token, or are they going to be
I don't think so.
With taking a little bit of tower damage?
I mean, obviously, tier 3 tower damage is still fine. You know, it just weakens it for the next time you push on it. Obviously, they got both Kongor kills, so they're happy to stack both buffs. And, but obviously, you know, when you have a tokens with the Kongor Decimator buff, you do like to see you be able to make a harder push to break barracks that early. But I think that Trimble kind of just wasn't expecting to fall as fast as he did. I mean, he had the double damage, so I think they were really looking to get more auto attacks with that double damage Trimble on the tower. But there's a pretty decent eruption from Magnus to kind of thwart that plan of theirs.
So at the same time, DB didn't really give Doghouse an opportunity to set up like a chrono field into Rally Slam, so kind of props to them for not kind of overcommitting on the token respawn as well. That could have definitely been what Doghouse was hoping for. But we see the lead. Here we're about to enter 30 minutes. We have a 12,700 gold lead and a 10,800 experience lead for the side of Doghouse.
Yeah, it's kind of been at that spot for quite a while now. Around this 12,000 mark. You know, both teams are starting to get some items. Obviously, Doghouse is getting them just a smidgen quicker, but you know, Donatova Brigada still not out of it, still acquiring some core items. Like you said, they have the portal key on Magnus that was just picked up before that fight. Looks like they're making a Shrunken Head kind of into the works on Drunken Master. We're going to see the next item on Sapphire come out fairly soon, and I'm not sure if you heard me earlier, but I definitely want to see crits. Yeah, I want to see crits. I love crit
on this hero. Whether or not he goes for it straight away is the question. I think he will buy it at some point, but we could see maybe the Genjuro as like his follow-up to the Shroud. Just goes for like the more evasive and damage route of the upgrade to the Shroud, but definitely don't think crits out of the question.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a strong case to be made for just picking at that Genjuro. I mean, more agility, second Shroud usage.
The slow to keep them on top of the Shard is very powerful as well, since Sapphire kind of lacks that CC when she starts hitting the Shard. Engineer looks like he uses that Invis rune to catch out the Magnus here with the Moira. A little bit maybe of an overkill there. They burn the energy field, but the pace of the game is kind of slowed down, so I think I'm not going to really criticize that one too much. They do get themselves a kill.
Yeah, and Kronos with that Mighty Blade looking to go Shrunken Head, so going to be more or less completely unstoppable inside the space of his ulti whenever he decides to put it out on somebody, and just takes the tower with his illusions by himself. That's the 2,900 gold necessary to finish a Shrunken Head if you would like to, but holding on to it for the moment.
Engineer also goes ahead and buys a Shrunken. So I was thinking he was going to go for something like a Spell Shards, but he goes the more defensive route. Wants that magic immunity.
It's significant. It's going to help them evade potential Sapphire ulti. You know,
definitely a good item this game. Maybe we'll see him go into like post ace as his next item. Be a little bit more, have a little bit more map presence.
Yeah, he's been finding great ganks, so that's only going to assist him to that end. Looks like he's kind of waiting on the next rune spawn.
Patiently putting a Mind Trap down here. See the 32-minute rune spawn top, which is a DD. That's a big rune. If Doghouse currently kind of controlling that part of the map, they might get to bottle that at some point. Meanwhile, here comes a Chrono Field. Was that an illusion? I missed that. Looks well, judging from the chat, I'm gonna go ahead and just say it was an illusion. I think that was a Sapphire Geobane illusion. So well played from Puppet Soul, baiting out the Chrono Field and the Shrunken. So that's down for 2 minutes on top of the 60-second Shrunken. See what DB can maybe make happen in this window here. The Chrono Field definitely a big cooldown for the Legion side, but doesn't mean they couldn't take an engagement still.
Yeah, they're just going to evade at all costs here. And it actually is the Shrunken Head that Sapphire picks up, so feeling like he needs it this game. Putting a...
Yeah, I'm a little bit torn about that, because I can definitely see why he picks up a Shrunken, but at the same time, it just feels a little... Not to say lackluster. Oh, Mind Trap! That's a lot of damage. There's the energy field. But here we see the Stay Still, aka the Crystallize, is going to take out the energy field. Wakes up the Engineer, but there's the Shrunken from Snooki. He goes for the TP. Drunken's trying to get in range for a lunge. He's the only one that could stop that TP, but he couldn't do it from the downhill. A very heads-up TP coming in from Engineer. So both parties survive with near low life. And nobody falls here in that engagement.
Chrono's taking out a creep wave in a very aggressive position here.
Yep, he's cutting the wave. We'll see if they can try to punish him here. Magnus sees him. He's gonna go for the stun.
He has no port ready.
Oh, he pops the Shrunken just in time. Moira's gonna do everything she can to keep Kronos alive with the Forge there. Stuns up too. And looks like Ozef will be just fine. So we see Valkyrie does upgrade, I believe, the Empath. We currently see her using that ultimate, buffing up Sapphire. It also buffs his farming speed quite a lot because it gives him attack speed on top of damage. So Sapphire gonna more or less have permanent Empath buff now.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that staff effect on Empath. It's
No
almost
trouble.
a shame that
Going
Sapphire
hard on
doesn't...
Valkyrie.
Yeah, top lane.
But
Valkyrie gets locked down.
too much damage. That level 16 Trimble ulti. What is it? Like a 5-second immobilize. It's really nasty. But yeah, as I said, you know, a new Valkyrie.
Tremble blinks in very YOLO here into the base. Moira jumps in with her body. This is not the shard or the Forge, and Rally goes down. Very interesting dive coming in from Doghouse. There's a Vortex on Moira herself. She's going to stun up several targets here, but we see the Shrunken activated from Sapphire. There's the Chrono Field locking down the solo Sapphire. Is this enough damage? The bash. There's the tablet, though, from Empath. He gets the return kill there onto both Snooki and Fall on the Engineer and the Tremble. And Sapphire does end up falling, but Kronos has to sacrifice himself. And this was a massive fight for DB. They forced out a whole genocide here, and it came at a cost of 0 buybacks.
Yeah, wow. Definitely a bit of overconfidence, I would say, on the side of Doghouse. They still have a massive lead, but that wasn't a fight that they needed to take inside of the enemy base, especially after they got that pick on Valkyrie. You know, of course, they got Sapphire, but Drunken Master finished a big item, completed his Shrunken Head, so really curious to see exactly what he decides to go after he catches that killing blow on the Kronos, high-value target, top farmer of the game. So
also got 400 gold for the Engineer kill, so two big kills for him. I think it's safe to say he needs some damage now to kind of pose a threat, so to speak.
Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing, I mean, even something like a Demonic might not be a bad idea for him, you know, a little mixture of defense and damage, but, you know, I don't know what you feel, or how you feel about this, but maybe a little extra mobility, like a portal key, could be in order for him as well, just to help get things
that is
going
a good
with his
item?
team.
But I will say, I think he still needs to be posing a damage threat for that to be relevant. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So I want to go back to this Empath staff. So he gets perma ulti. It's almost sad that the Sapphire doesn't have a staff effect, because if she did, they'd be getting a free staff. But
Right.
guess who does have a staff effect? Drunken Master. That one got added more recently into the game. He gets the 3-point strike down to 4 seconds. I want to say this, if at any point in this game Drunken starts to become a threat where he is that damage presence where Sapphire is currently, later we might start to see Empath think about jumping into the Drunken Master, not only for his damage boost, but also giving him that staff effect.
Yeah, that is a good point. 3-point strike with that, because that's basically the way it used to be. It used to be very, very quick on the refresh of the 3 points. And you can just fall into this crazy Drunken Master stun lock. It also gives him, like, I'm not really sure. I haven't played this hero since it's got the Drunk Charges acquisition. But 10 extra charges on the max charges of Drink. How much of a
more damage
significance is that?
reduction, evasion. He still gets evasion, debuff duration, and crit chance. So 10 charges is quite a lot.
Right. Yeah, that's actually an extra 10% evasion. 5% debuff and stun duration. So yeah, could be really interesting to see the game reach that state. And Valkyrie,
Yeah, so in an ideal
Valkyrie
world,
pick up a Void Talisman. But yes, your ideal world.
I was gonna say in an ideal world, we'll get to that point where Drunken Master becomes scary, and then we can start to see him get the Empath ultimates. We see a Storm Spirit come out there. That kind of deters the Slam to come out from Rally. The Prism was used from Valkyrie here. This is why we're in such an aggressive spot. But they do lose the Magnus first. Kronos pops the Shrunken Head. He does have a Chrono Field ready to go. He's waiting for the Sapphire, but he can't see him. As Empath jumps inside him with that Bound Dive. Valkyrie gonna fall here, as well as the Drunken Master. So 3 players fall for DB. They don't get a single kill on any Doghouse player. And then we see the remainers fall back.
Yeah, so
Oh wow, dude actually spots him out there with the Shards of Archon stun. They know he's down here. I think they're not really interested in going for a chase though.
He finished the Genjuro after the Shrunken Head as well.
I think now we could see him go for the crit. I'm liking the spot he's in right now with the Genjuro Shrunken. But
I almost feel like a Wingbow could be in order as well, though.
that is definitely a possibility. Going up against both a Kronos and a Tremble.
Yeah, basically would force Kronos to go the Savage Mace route. So, which honestly, he might just be able to hold that amount of gold and wait for the Wingbow purchase from Sapphire. Just quickly purchase it to just immediately nullify it. So he's basically the hard counter to Sapphire at this point, right? Like, as you said, he was just waiting for Sapphire to show in the last fight before he committed to using his ulti.
Ooh. Arcana picked up by Kronos.
Yeah,
that means he's going for a Resto Stone. I don't think that's going to be a Harkon's. We only see the Void on Valkyrie, and that doesn't really pose that much of a reason to go for that item, so this looks like it will be a Restoration Stone for Kronos. Can't really argue too much with that pickup.
Yeah, I mean, I almost wonder, is Resto the right item?
I like it.
I mean, you like it? Okay.
I like it. I think the double sphere is just so strong. They're gonna catch the Sapphire here. No, he's got Shrunken Head on. He can't get tableted out of this. They have the damage though to lock him down. The Vortex in the background trying to prevent the follow-up. Rally goes in with a slant or with a compel, but misses the Sapphire. She gets the stay still up, and she's gonna get caught here nonetheless. The Shrunken's preventing that. As she does end up waking them up, she dies. Meanwhile, Fa, he's just getting kills left and right. He cleans up the Magnus and the Empath. And guess what? There's Drunken Master going down as well. Valkyrie, the sole survivor here for DB. And another massive team fight coming out from Doghouse, making it a 4 for nothing.
Not a single buyback available.
That was also a Drunken dieback, yes. Glad you caught that.
I actually didn't see the dieback, but I can just see that they're all dead with no buyback money available. So this is almost certainly a double barracks.
Yeah, we see them kind of doing a split here. Tremble gonna go to the mid lane, and the rest of the team. A lot of damage coming in from the Valkyrie. Actually takes out the Rally as he was tanking the tower. Drops a Bound Eye. Deuter just says, we don't need to. I'm gonna go ahead and kill that one off. Actually, it would have been their third Bound Eye, as they have one picked up on Engineer as well. But yeah, 2 Raxes. That's a massive advantage now that they have the lead almost at 30k. So starting to look more and more like it's an impossible feat for DB to come back from. We see a 600 gold per minute Tremble, almost a 600 gold per minute Kronos on top of that. And then you can't really scoff at 420 GPM on the Engineer either.
No, especially whenever your top farmer on the enemy team is only 50 GPM ahead of that. Trying to make one last play here with the Valkyrie's Prism, but gonna walk into this Engineer
maybe.
Maybe
Catch Engineer here. Oh, he sees Magnus on the uphill. Energy field nicely placed there. They take out the Magnus. Sapphire puts in some good damage, but there's the Shrunken from Engineer as the Vortex puts a halt to Sapphire's rain of right clicks. And then the shard will expire. Engineer gets a Storm Spirit on him. He goes in for the keg. Double keg comes in from Snooki. Will the team support get here? Kronos is here now. He uses the sphere. Locks down his own teammate, but does he care as he is right-clicking the Sapphire down? Meanwhile, Moira stuns up the Valkyrie with the Mana Sunder as well. Sapphire is still a little bit too evasive as she did survive the Chrono Field. Takes out the Moira, but she will fall. in the end is Kronos does have the Resto Stone completed, uses the second sphere, and the GGs are called, John. The last-ditch effort not going to work out for DB, as we see Doghouse take game number 1 here at 43 minutes.